So moving on to NBA 2K18 now, we got another developer diary this week, and this one was a video developer diary. The previous one was a blog post on a Facebook note. This is the art behind NBA 2K18, and this actually gave us a look at 2K18 in action from cinematic camera angles, of course. 2K Sports, their game is looking pretty good too, and I suppose no real surprise there, but we saw pretty good animations, obviously. We saw a lot of the new jerseys. Some of them we're more we like a bit more than others, but there's been a lot of impressions coming out from the event the other week, and the developer diary in particular highlighted the focus on representing the players, and you can see the work that's gone into the faces. They've got scars, stretch marks, and faded tattoos are properly represented with they've scanned the players. Attention to the uniforms have been scanned, and even face scanning for my players has been improved with more facial editing. Been revamped a little bit, new hairstyles this year, so it basically goes into all the aesthetics of the game and shows a bit of gameplay as well. What did you think of that, Ben?
It was actually good watching it in 4K.
I imagine so, yeah.
Because you get to see obviously a lot more of the detail, and that's something that I'd like the live stuff to sort of show as well. Because then you get a more fairer comparison between the two. You know, it is a difference definitely between 1080p and 4K. So yeah, just to sort of see those little details and stuff that you might not be able to see in 1080p, you know, that'll bring up a little bit more. I do want to say that there is some details that Live has in terms of on like the player models and stuff, and that'll be like freckles and birthmarks and stuff like that as well. Like,
Yep.
so you'll see that kind of detail as well. So for those who, you know, it's not just in 2K and that where they've really added that element to it. So yeah, and so that's really cool to see that in both games. That, you know, we're getting to that stage where we can actually put that exact sort of likeness in it.
Absolutely,
yeah.
and the scanning has helped everything. Like both companies just scanning everything they can get their hands on.
Yeah.
Where you see scuff marks on the court and everything. As we've said before, we've come a long way from sprites and pixels and pixels for eyes and everything like that.
When we finally got to eyes.
Yeah. So we got to look at it in action. Video was very nice to see. I think they got a lot of people hyped. The hands-on impressions, the people who got their hands-on with at the studios in Nevada the other week, mentioning a few key points. Enhancements to the artificial intelligence, especially on the defensive logic, the defensive end of the floor. And that's a big thing, of course, that we've talked about before with 2K17, just especially with pick and roll defense has been a bit lacking. So they fixed it. They kind of fixed it in one of the last few patches that came out. But to hear the defense has really been picked up and that you can play better defense is welcome to hear for 2K18.
Yeah, you know, given some of the sort of can one-to-one sort of sequences and stuff, then they kind of got really frustrating the last couple of years. So really hoping that, you know, these improvements do really show, especially, you know, for the moments in Prime and that, you know, that we've had. So that's what I'm really hoping in that sort of sense, that it isn't. Again, this is sort of going to come back to some of the things that were said for the game last year. So it was whether it was just PR talk or whether it's genuine in that sort of sense. So again, for me, and I know probably other people, because of the misinformation, I guess, or that they'll want to see before they play, I guess, and, you know, to be convinced that it's there, to see it, to believe it, and that sort of element. So, not trying to dog it. It was just, yeah, like, given a few things, yeah, okay, they've generally had a pretty good track record, you know, but given those little missteps from last year, I think it hurt a lot of people's interest in that. So,
people have been comparing some of the hands-on impressions from this year to last year, and there's a lot of similar phrasing, a lot of similar things said. And I suppose if you feel that the game is improving each and every year, then it's an honest opinion. But yeah, it is funny that they've gone back and looked at some of the hands-on impressions and like, yeah, this is kind of what they said last year, and this is what happened last year. So the skepticism, just like with Live, is going to be there. and until people get their hands on the game, which they will. We'll go into that in a sec. Something else they mentioned, of course, shot feedback has been expanded with more information, actually similar to live as far as how open the shot is, and knowing how we've sort of felt about the shot feedback especially in 2K Pro Am. I do like the idea of actually getting a bit more information, just to see how the shot contesting logic works, because we have felt a bit robbed, as we've said in the past about that. So just to get a bit more shot feedback, I know some people feel it's unnecessary, but just to see how the mechanics work, I think is very important, and it's great that both games are being a bit more open, a bit more transparent about this.
Yeah, how else are we going to learn that where we could make improvements in terms of our timing and stuff like that, or the circumstances that we took our shot? So yeah, I think that will play a big benefit in that sense.
And you can see where it's broken as well, and say, well, hey, a really late release is actually better than a slightly early one.
Yeah.
So you can actually give some quality feedback to the developers and say, well, we can see how it's actually playing out. Is the feedback broken? Is the shot timing broken? Where are the bugs in this? But this is what we've noticed. So again, that's all feedback that we can give to the developers, and of course they can see it themselves, obviously, with the system in place. But that is great to see. Pick and roll defense being smartened up, player speed better handled. So a lot of tweaks to the gameplay that sound really good. There was a reference to My Dynasty in one of the articles, which got people very excited. Turns out that it was the person who wrote that has just misspoke. That's actually referring to My Team. So there is no My Dynasty. Dynasty, I'm pretty sure, is... Well, we think that's still going to be the name of the franchise mode in Live this year. So there is no My Dynasty. There's My League, My GM, My League Online, My Career, and My Park, and My Team, and 2K Pro Am. So the odd one out, not my crew, which we thought it was going to be. So yeah, some promising impressions coming out about 2K18 as well. We haven't got our hands on that as yet. We will, as we'll talk about in a moment. But encouraging to hear, and it is also encouraging that 2K are bringing people in early enough to give quality feedback. So it's not just a promotional event, and they're not bringing in people who haven't played basketball games, they're not really into the basketball games, not in the sim community and everything. They're bringing in people who know what they're talking about, who are passionate about NBA 2K, and doing so early enough to get quality feedback, as EA have done with their community events. So that's really good to see 2K doing that, especially, they are the brand leader in sales and, I guess, Metacritic scores, reception, critical response. So for them to actually be taking on board the fan feedback and such is encouraging, because we've sometimes felt that it's been thrown back in our face, but this reinforces a lot of what was said in the Operation Sports interview a couple of months ago about how they are committed to listening to that feedback. So it's encouraging to see.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to say, in terms of one thing in regards to that trailer, the video that they came out with as well.
Yep.
A lot of the player faces do look, and player models and that do look a lot better. It for me, it's probably been their biggest visual jump in terms of things since 2K14. I felt like things sort of stayed stagnant in a lot of sense, and for me, it was probably similar, like from 2K12 to 13, or even actually 2K11 to 2K13 on current, like what was current gen at the time,
prior gen, shall we say?
Yeah. So
the last generation of this one, it's kind of been that mid to late generational jump with intergenerational, I suppose, intra-generational jump, basically, where you actually thought, well, this is as good as it's going to get on the current generation, and then they go a step further.
Yeah, so it's good to see them actually have that visual improvement in a lot of things. Still feel in most cases, like in regards to what I've said before about the skin texturing, kind of look better in 2K14. Sort of seeing the video in 4K. It's a little bit closer in terms of comparison to what I thought before. But yeah, still think there was an element in there's something in what they did with 2K14 with the skin that looked more like skin in a sense. So
just the lighting effects looked a bit better, maybe.
Yeah, or this is sort of it's like a subtle um, subsurface sort of stuff that really help bring the skin that sort of rubber bandish sort of rubberish sort of texture, and that like when you stretch a rubber band through the light and all that stuff, then you sort of see like the light and that come through it. I know it's kind of hard to
Translucency.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, there was just something about the way that sort of looked in that sort of sense. So, yeah, and that's sort of something where I'd like to also see live sort of do in terms as well, and just sort of help bring up their skin texturing a little bit more to life in that sort of sense. And
Definitely.
I think the clay has sort of potentially been the word that we've used for theirs. So
Clay, plasticky, sort of.
yeah.
That kind of. People say cartoonish, but people say cartoonish about a lot of things. So,
Yeah.
which is in itself a cartoonish criticism,
Yeah.
ironically. So we've got some more screenshots. As you said, the player models are looking a lot better. They mentioned that they went back and did that, and we needed to. They needed to, because we saw a lot of players in 2K17 who were much too skinny. High school, it looked like high school players when they're obviously full-grown men and much more filled out from years of hitting the gym, and as players do these days. So that's obviously looking better. We have some ratings, I should say, with the screenshots. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Kyrie Irving is a 90 overall, same as John Wall. So cover player is 90 overall. I think that's pretty fair though with Kyrie, I suppose.
Yeah.
The player that he is. Enjoy him in a Cavs jersey while you can, maybe. we don't know. The other thing that we should mention before we move on to talking about the preview that we're going to get of 2K18 in about a month's time is the amiibo compatibility, which apparently is going to happen for Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's a surprising little thing that was announced.
Well, it's kind of been leaked. It hasn't really been officially announced. But
Yeah. True. Okay.
It's there on the Japanese store page, so it looks like it's going to be a thing for Switch.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be off a cover boy or Legend cover, or
Yeah, I don't know.
of maybe like an NBA logo sort of one? And I don't know. It's
Well,
this is one.
they're talking about getting Mario in the game and things like that on the Switch, or
Jeez.
or maybe for my park some Nintendo outfits. Rocking the Link's tunic from Legend of Zelda, maybe in park. That would be pretty funny, or Mario's overalls, things like that. That's the speculation at the moment. Yeah, something like that. I imagine it's going to be pretty gimmicky, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I guess kind of like the PlayStation Move controls and the Kinect and such were a bit gimmicky when they try to incorporate things there. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we don't have a Switch, so it's hard for us to really get excited about any kind of speculation, I suppose. But I imagine it's going to be something like that. And hey, fair enough. If for people who like doing that, go nuts, enjoy. I'm not going to. Like I say, I suppose it's hard to know what else to say about it, really. But worth mentioning because it did catch our eye.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll just be for this year, or if they'll do it for the following as well. So. Yeah, it was one of those little wait and see sort of things. So
Just a matter to see if it takes off, I suppose.
yeah.